Hello and welcome back to the Future of Figure Skating. My name's Anna Keller, and this episode features Bruno Massot, the 2018 Olympic and World Champion in Paris. Bruno is now coaching full-time, and we spoke at the European Championships where he was accompanying the Swedish team of Greta and John Crafoord. This was a shorter than usual conversation, but it was still a very interesting one. We got into the future of pairs and what makes for a great coach. Hope you enjoy the episode. So I'm here at the European Championships with Bruno Massot, who's kindly being our guinea pig of recording in live for the first time. So first off, you were telling me that this is the first time that you've been to Europeans as a coach, though you've been to some other bigger competitions. And just what has that experience been like for you?
For me, it's Europeans, worlds, or even nationals. I try to take it in the same way. The most important as a coach, I guess, is to not show any stress to the athlete, to stay calm, motivated for them. So I take it like I was trying to take it also as a skater.
When you were competing, did you always think that you wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, actually, since a very young age. I mean, I learned a lot from my coach, and I always wanted to be so like him. And it's always like this. It's in my nature, to try to help and give also my experience, my technique, and to share everything to people. So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your school, your training center. Like, how are you organized these days? How many teams do you have? All of that.
Actually, my school is kind of new. I built it like in 2021, so it's only almost 3 years. Number of team, it's like up and down. That's the problem of pair skating. Some teams split, some teams leave, some other arrive. So it's always constant movement. So, but we have like a very good place. It's in Caen, so in Normandy, in my hometown. So I know a lot of people there. It's fine. I have my family, my friends, so it's also more comfortable for me, for my wife, for my kids, and we try to do a big center. We still not have the best practice quality. We have only one ice that we have to share with ice hockey, school, a lot of things. But it's on the plan to have another rink in the same place. So it would be like in 3 or 4 years, we'll have another rink. So it will be much easier. So it would be soon a very good place to train.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I think that's one of the issues that I've heard from many people is just finding, dedicated ice for pairs.
Especially in Europe. In Europe, it's pretty hard to find a good place. There are not a lot of rink with different ice. At least there is Oberstdorf for sure, but in Italy maybe. But in France especially, there is not a lot of rink with 2 different ice or 3 ice.
Yes. I know you read that you're interested in really growing pairs in France and building that culture more up there. And so what do you think some of the obstacles have been for developing pairs in France?
Actually, when I decided to come back to France, I got the French Federation on the phone who said, okay, that's a very good idea. And since years, I know that they wanted to rebuild a good pair team in France. So I said, okay, so I will come back and I will work on that. I have like contacts around the world, so it's also easy for me to bring some other athletes and also to have good coach who can help me in this project. So since 3 years, it's kind of a feeling that, there are like a little bit more pair skaters in France. I hope it will still grow up in the future.
Yeah, it seemed like, there were a number of senior teams at nationals, and that there are, the teams that are, the teams that are here are very good teams. I mean, it was unfortunately that the Kovalevs, had a fall, but that could happen. That's not taking away from
competition.
Their quality overall.
And so, thinking about how you encourage skaters to go into pairs who maybe haven't been thinking
that's pretty complicated. I mean, first we need to see as a coach the potential physique and mental also of the athlete. So for boys, they have to be tall, strong, but also good skater. For girls, they have to be smaller, good skater also. But it's not the only point. It's also to be able to skate next to someone, to be able to support someone, and also you have to match in the how to say, in the education, the way to speak, the dialogue. I mean, a lot of people are not able to do that because they're more solo skater ready. But I try to speak about the team spirit. It's not just about the skaters. It's also the coach, the doctors, mental coach, athletic coach. It's like a big team around the skaters to push them to reach their goals and to help them to reach their goals. So after to bring them to this discipline, I'm not lying to the skaters. I always say the truth. Like, yes, it's a very, very difficult discipline, very dangerous discipline. But next to this, it's so beautiful. It's a complete discipline because you try to skate like ice dancers. You try to jump like solo skaters. And next to this, you have like crazy elements like twists, flips, throws, which is very, very, very impressive for the public. So it's a perfect mix. Pair skating is, for me, it's a perfect mix between art and performance. So most of the time, people are like attracted to this.
Yes. No, I love that. And there seems to be always that tension between most skaters start skating partly because they like that it's an individual sport. That's often what draws people to it, is that, that sense of you're out there expressing, yourself or working on your own goals, not as much part of a team. And so I wonder if there are benefits to starting skaters introduced to pairs earlier, even though you also need to have a certain level of singles elements that might make people start later as well.
First, to do a good pair, we need two good solo skaters, of course. But there are like a lot of benefit because sometimes, so for a lot of skaters, when they arrive on the ice alone in front of like, depending on the rig, but 5, 10, 30,000, like I saw in Japan, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. You need to be very strong mentally. You need to control the stress, control the adrenaline. But when you are with someone, it's different because all the stress, you share it. When your partner is kind of tired or stressed and you're here to support, it's also like grateful, to feel like this. And when you're bad, then the other is here for you also. This is in a wonderful world. That some pairs are not able to do that, and then they split or they stay together, but the atmosphere is not nice, but of course. But it's like, for me,
but that's the goal,
Yeah, the goal is first to be in a good relationship, of course, because you need the trust, you need everything. But it's also very nice to be with someone.
Yeah.
Because when you're not in your perfect day, that this other person next to you is here for you anyway.
Yeah. So yesterday I talked to, I'm going to mispronounce their names, but Lucia Demogo and Theo Lemercier, the dancers, and they were saying that neither of them were single skaters before they were dancers. And I think the same thing was true for Gabby and Guillaume, that there's more, I think it's more common maybe in France that people start as dance and don't do singles. And I was curious, that was making me think about sort of pathways into skating. But like, well, what, part of the development of a skater would someone first, try to do a pair spin, try to do some kind of thing with another.
After it's different in ice dance. I mean, for pair skating, we try to wait to be like really close to the puberty. Yeah. Otherwise, it can be dangerous for the body to start too early. I mean, in ice dance, you can start the lift a little bit later and work on the skating skills a lot. So of course they can try to pass to ice dance earlier. They also don't have the jumps or the solo spins. So yeah, it's a little bit different for that. So they are quite lucky that they can start earlier. In pair skating, that's why it's maybe more complicated, because it's hard to find a partner first, even more when you're older. But it's also hard to find a partner who has also good skating level, solo skating level. In ice dance, I don't know. Maybe it's not that complicated to find a partner, or maybe it is. I have no idea. But yeah, of course, you can start much earlier.
Yeah, I think, I mean, both disciplines have the same issue of there being a shortage of men in the sport, period. And so that, which I think, fits into the same, first you have to be able to find, partners that will work together, but then you may be operating from a smaller pool starting out of men than you are of women in the sport. What do you think about, in terms of encouraging the sport to have more men come into the sport, or like some of those questions around having, more gender balance among the teams? Yeah.
For me, everybody should be free to skate on which discipline they want, with who they want, where they want. Where it depends on the competitions, what I mean. For the country they want. I mean, it's in every sport the same. It's a lot of politics and everything. All the athletes are not like really free on their own passion.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but it is like it is, and us as coach, as athlete, we can't really change anything about it.
Yeah, I think pairs in some ways by necessity is more international than a lot of the disciplines. You have so many teams that come together with people from different countries. But I think from a positive, it seems like there's also maybe more intentional international collaboration in terms of having seminars and bringing people together.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. And it's especially for us, in France, I'm still a young coach. I'm coaching since 5 years now, 6 years almost. So I'm still a young coach. I have still a lot of things to learn. I need a lot of experience. So, for example, Bruno Massot in Canada is a very good friend of mine, and I try to work as much as I can with him, because for me, taking a lot of experience from him, it will be the best for my future. And I think we should all do that.
Yeah.
Going to work with somebody, because taking what you need, put on the side what you don't want. But it's very, very important to share, because we want the figure skating to grow up. We want, share, just share.
And having more coaches who are able to train, hopefully at a high level, but even, from a developmental level too. I think that's one of, if there's only a few places you can go to train pairs, then making that leap into doing it is maybe even more so, because it's also moving across the country, moving to another country to find coach. In terms of rule changes or thinking about the sport, not so much from like the structure, but just in terms of like rules of the sport, are there things that you would like to see change? I feel like there's been more debate in Paris about.
In specific in pair skating?
In general, I'm curious too, but also in specifically, so specifically in pair skating, I think there's a version of that same debate that we have in block skating.
Of course, but this is, in general, in figure skating in general, the regulation is like very, very strict, which is okay. I'm okay with that. The thing is that now we don't have any place to create. It's art sports, and there is not a lot of place for this art. For example, the programs are short. 4 minutes. It's pretty short with the numbers of elements we have.
Yeah.
But this is because of TV, like always. But then there is not enough time to create choreography, to play, to interpret, it's not enough time for that. So if I have to change something, would be that. Make the program a little bit longer. Okay, maybe it's more tiring, but we are high-level athletes, so it's okay.
It used to be longer than it is now, too.
20 years ago was 5 minutes 30 a program. So, yeah. But then we have more time to create. Because now the program is shorter and shorter with still the same number of elements, or maybe one element less. But the thing is that more we go to this way, more we will all have the same programs.
Yes.
And then it will be, for me, not really attractive for the public. And we really try to get figure skating more attractive in the TV, in internet and everything. But not in this way. It will not work in this way.
I think that's something that I hear from people who often are, figure skating fans, but sometimes struggle with pairs because until you get to maybe the very top teams, it does feel the same because there's so much focus on the elements and not much time for anything else, which I think could be you could say that's certainly true about singles at a lot of the levels as well.
I always say this. Even when I was a skater, I was saying the same. Even when I was a skater, I was like, my first program was 4 minutes 30. And I was like, it's too short. Because we wanted to show more of creativity, more of cool lift, cool choreography, interpretation. And it's not enough time because we have to run after the music.
Yeah. One idea that I've seen, but I think it runs up against the same question of what do you take out to substitute to put something in, is the idea of having like choreo elements in pairs, like for there to be a lift or a spin.
To replace one lift to a choreo lift?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah.
For me, no. What is impressive in pair skating lift with throw, and you want a choreo lift instead of a normal lift, we have the choreo sequence already for that. We don't need one more choreo lift because the choreo lift anyway we can put where we want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think like maybe I was thinking more in terms of not like the way dance choreo lifts are, but like something like
over the shoulders,
the shoulder lift, but without the level requirements.
I think that's what they want, something like the adagio lift. Yeah. But then they can make this allowed in the choreo sequence,
right?
And keep the normal lifts, which is very, very impressive for the public.
Yes.
It's not. I mean, if you're able to do 2 lifts in a free program, you are able to do 3. It's okay. Make the program longer, then you will have a little bit more time to rest in the choreography and be able to do the 3rd lift.
Yeah. The other thing that I think often worries people about pairs is just that the idea that it's, that it's more of a dangerous sport, that people will get more injured, or that there's that fear that, especially when an audience sees a bad fall or something like that it pulls people away.
There are danger in every sport.
Yeah.
What in the Formula 1 Grand Prix, you want to take bicycle. It's a dangerous sport, but this is pair skating. This is pair skating. If the skaters don't want to go to a quad, then they don't do it. If they are not, pair skating is dangerous. You need to be like crazy to do this discipline, yes. But then let the athlete do what they want.
Yeah.
Don't block them in something that because you think it's dangerous. Just because you think it's dangerous. Okay, it's good to take care of the athlete, but take care more by listening to them, what they want. That would be great.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Maggie Duhamel was saying.
I know, yeah, of course. We are agree together with that. Yeah, of course. Of course. Why solo skater are allowed to do like 10 quads in the free program and we are not allowed to do even 1?
Yeah.
It's not more dangerous. As a pair skater, I know that a quad is not more dangerous than a triple. Yes. It's only one more ref. It's the same. Yeah. It's not more dangerous.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then we are seeing, just as many concussions in ice dance as you would see in pairs, but there's more.
That's why the regulation should be done by skaters. Skaters, not skaters, but by people. The pair skating regulation should be done by people who made pair skating.
Do you think there should be a separate technical committee because it's combined with safety?
It can be. Why not? It can be. Or some people from the discipline can be in the committee. And maybe they can take advice from recent veterans, I would say.
Yeah, I think, there's the athletes commission, but it's not necessarily, from what I understand, sort of like well connected to the.
I don't think they really listen what they say.
Yeah.
They listen. That's it.
Yeah.
No, I think just let the athlete doing what they want. It's just this.
Yeah.
They take care of themselves.
Absolutely. Thinking just, I want to ask you a very open-ended question about where you would like to see the sport of figure skating going in the future. Like, what are some of your hopes for what for what you as a coach are wanting to do, and also maybe as part of, that broader community of people?
So me personally, what I want to go, what I want to be.
Yeah.
My objective as a coach, actually, it's to be as good as my coach was. So try to reach the level he got, and if it's better, then of course it would be great. But to reach first his level would be amazing for me.
And how do you define like what being a good coach is in that way?
A good coach for me is able to listen what the athlete think, feel. He's like fully transparent on everything. He is also humble by accepting the critics from other coach, from federations, from athletes also. We are learning by critics. For me, it's always positive critics. Even if sometimes the critics are not cool, you still, after a few minutes, think about it and hope it makes you better. So, yeah, a good coach is listening first.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time and bearing with our technical difficulties.
It's okay.
Conversation. Yes. Well, I hope that all of the preparation for Worlds and everything goes well for Greta and John.
We'll do our best. We'll see. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again to Bruno for chatting with me and for bearing with our technical difficulties. As always, the episode transcripts and more resources are linked in the show notes. You can see the video of this conversation on the Future of Figure Skating YouTube channel. You can follow Bruno on Instagram at Bruno Massot and can reach me with comments or suggestions by email at fsfuturepodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram and Twitter at FutureFSPodcast. Make sure you're subscribing on your podcast platforms and on YouTube as well to make sure that you get all of the future episodes. Special thanks to Yvonne Donaluk for editing and technical assistance. If you appreciate the podcast, you can also support my work with a tip jar at futureoffigureskating.pinecast.co.